Thanks everybody for joining us today. I'm Sal Abramo, the VP of Marketing here at AlertOps. And today we're launching a new, what I'm calling an informal discussion series in what we're calling the Incident Management Café. With this series of what's going to be an ongoing discussions, we're going to be presenting an opportunity for experienced members of our team to share some of their incident management and digital operations knowledge and expertise and best practices with a broader community. Today's topic overall is going to focus on Black Friday, very topical, and more specifically on outage communication as it relates to the critical element of outage communication as it relates to Black Friday. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Cam and Bob. How about you both introduce yourself and let's dive right into it, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us here, Sal. Really appreciate it. So, as you know, I'm Cam Shrikant. I work with the solutions team here at AlertOps. So for various use cases, one of which, a major one, is Black Friday. We try to come up with solutions using our existing tool to cater to that particular need.
Sure, and I'm Bob Crum, VP of Technology. I've been working with the platform for a number of years, and we'll provide some insights about some of the things that we've encountered with our customers and sort of some best practices that we've put together based on that. Cam?
Awesome. Yeah, so really today what we wanted to talk about, since Black Friday is around the corner, it's a revenue critical period for quite a few retailers, right? Whether that's brick and mortar or e-commerce is more prevalent nowadays, being able to be prepared from an incident standpoint. You can never guarantee that nothing will go wrong, but when it does, being the best prepared to and best equipped to handle any of those incidents. So today we're specifically going to be focusing around outage communication and some of the aspects and best practices around outage communication that can help mitigate the detriments of incidents. So I know, Bob, you've done quite a bit around outage communication and some of the areas of structuring a formal plan. So one of the things we wanted to discuss today were the benefits of having a predefined major incident playbook. Could you kind of delve into that a little bit?
Sure, so let's talk a little bit about why this is important. I mean, obviously, the business, everybody knows their numbers, everybody knows the impact. I mean, outages can cost at least on an average $5,600 per minute. And a big part of the problem is actually getting the team together, assembling your response team. Because with a major outage, it's never going to be one person. In fact, it's never going to be one team. It's going to be multiple people across multiple teams. So you can imagine how that sort of scales out exponentially to simply just try to get people together. So another thing is people leave the organization from time to time, so you can't rely on tribal knowledge, stuff that's in people's heads. And then also what you want to think about is you're not just notifying your responders, but you also need to think about your stakeholders. Cam, other thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I absolutely agree. And I think that one of the benefits of today's age is everything is instant. You get onto your TV, you've got Netflix and a million shows at your disposal. Now, that being said, there's also a million other alternatives. No one has any patience to wait for anything anymore. So they need to know what's going on at all points in time, or your churn is going to be very high. The second that, at least for myself, the Netflix is down, I'm on Hulu or I'm on HBO Max. So with the digital transformation comes this expectation from clients of any organization that their service is going to be readily available all the time. And in the case it's not, they need to be well informed as to the reason. So I think that from a standpoint of communication, one of the key aspects is the fact that there's so many offerings and the ability to jump ship is virtually non-disturbing at all. There's absolutely no impact on the client in the case that they decide to switch.
Yeah. Sure. So a big part of it is protecting your business. And this works on a lot of different levels. I mean, like Cam said, maybe somebody's sitting there watching Netflix or HBO or streaming and it's gone, right? So there's a lot of different ways to communicate with with your customers as well as your stakeholders. You think about it, a good analogy is a pyramid, right? If it's on the first lower level, then the only people that are aware of it are your responders, and maybe they can get it resolved and they can copy everybody and say, hey, we dodged a bullet on this one. The next level up, your customer service department is dealing with it, right? And the very top, what you don't want is a press release. You don't, and of course, your executives don't want to learn about it in a board meeting. Your salespeople don't want to learn about it when they call on one of their key accounts. So there's lots of different people that actually need to be notified, and they will all have different needs in terms of preferences for which channel. Maybe internally you might have different Slack channels or chat channels such as Slack or Teams, which are executives, maybe even your customer service department. Um, you have maybe you have business partners. We have a lot of customers like that have not only B2C but also B2B significant businesses. So you need to think about that. Plan ahead, um, communicate over the appropriate channel, and more importantly, the more appropriate message. Right, Cam?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that the messaging piece of it is fundamental, right? As it goes back to the notion that team assembly is a critical part of incident response because nothing's going to get solved unless you have the appropriate people. Now, having the appropriate people is just one piece of it, which really gives credence and value to having a predefined major incident playbook. If you're spending 30 minutes at $5,600 a minute on the average end, I think last year there was an outage for Target.com where their shopping cart was down for about 2 hours. Then that was over $200 million in revenue for them. So it's definitely critical. But even beyond that, as you'd mentioned, the messaging starts to play a role in team assembly. So when we're discussing the appropriate message to the appropriate individuals, the second that you bombard your customer success team with technical jargon, they don't know what to do with it. They don't know the appropriate individuals to contact. The same way if it's a database issue and that database engineer is purely receiving information around the impacted clients, but nothing around the technical aspect of the nature of the incident, that's a problem as well. So having that playbook with the appropriate messaging as well as a structured response plan can really reduce your time to assembly and your time to resolution.
Yeah, and also a couple points. Outages happen. They're not going to go away. In fact, there's going to be more of them. Statistically, we know there were many more during the COVID pandemic lockdown period, where businesses saw a significant increase in online ordering, which was going to come anyways. But the more reliance on the digital enterprise, digital operations, the more we're going to see it. Another thing to think about is this: major outages, they may take time for your teams to resolve them. So this communication needs to be ongoing. So that's another real strong reason to consider automating the process. So we have customers who have SLAs, communication SLAs with different customers of theirs, different levels of severity, right? So think of it as understanding what your communication requirements are in terms of timing, and it will probably vary based on the group that you're addressing.
Yeah, and I question there from a standpoint of enabling your responders to actually resolve the issue. Wouldn't you agree that if you do have end users bombarding your customer success department, who are then bombarding your technical department, there's more time spent on communicating the nature of the incident than actually resolving the issue?
Absolutely. We've heard that on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And even consistency of the message, guys, becomes very, very important for it to be really concise, very consistent in terms of what folks are hearing. The last thing you want is to be, stirring up confusion. Oh, I heard this and then I heard that and I thought we were doing this. So it becomes really important, that level of consistency, kind of adding to what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just some things to think about. Be concise, provide accurate information. Of course, when you're dealing with customers or anybody, be empathetic, right? Um, Notify stakeholders. We talked about that. take responsibility. Like we said, deliver regular updates, establish realistic expectations. That's a big part of managing a customer's expectations. And that's, we've all had the experience of, a very poor customer service experience where you never really know what happened. You have no idea when it's going to get resolved. Be realistic. We're working on it. We've discovered the issue. We're implementing the resolution. We got it, right? So you want to provide those updates, and and be realistic. Don't tell them it's going to be done in 5 minutes if you don't know that for sure. And above all, don't say nothing, because
Yeah, the second that you leave radio silence out as an option, that is the second that your customers really don't know if it's going to happen again. And if it does happen again, what the impact on them is going to be. At least openly and I guess very, very honestly communicating with your clients that there is an issue, and the fact that your team is on it inspires a level of confidence in the business, as opposed to simply assuming they expect you to resolve it, but with absolutely no communication.
exactly. And then the other end of it is do a post-mortem, right? There's a lot of benefits to conducting a post-mortem. Figure out what happened, what went wrong, what went right. You know, figure out what can you do to improve your processes. What can you do to prevent this in the future? But also the post-mortem is useful messaging too for your customers and stakeholders. This is what happened. This is what we did. This is what we're doing to prevent it in the future, right? So transparency. People understand technology today. Everybody's used to the fact that they have to reset things sometimes, whether it's your phone, your streaming device, a TV, whatever it is. People are just used to that. So again, transparency. They'll understand it, and it works much better if you do the communication. You make it regular, be transparent, and then the next time it happens, which it will happen, you're going to have those same customers.
Yeah, it's definitely a goal to strive to improve with each incident, right, guys? I mean, that's where we should be going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, looping back to that construct of automation, you have a predefined major incident plan. And that's going to reduce the confusion and the time to actually assembling your team. But the second that you're automating your communications, it reduces it even more. So if you are sending out 70 notifications throughout the course of an incident to a single individual, and you have 500 end users, that is a fairly taxing process for someone to handle manually. Not only can automating via system benefit the actual time to response, but also maintains a system of record going to the postmortem that you were mentioning. So being able to consolidate all the information that, as far as actions taken throughout the course of incidents, and making sure that that exists available to all relevant parties.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, this is good, guys. I think we've covered a lot of ground here today, but this has been great. Any final ideas or thoughts, or, I think we've covered a lot of good ground.
No, I think we're good. This is excellent, Cam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we're good. So hopefully everyone watching this is gonna take our feedback into place, so you don't have any serious Black Friday outages.
Yeah.
Or when you do, you know what to do about it.
There you
How to
go.
communicate.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Until the next one.